Morning. Welcome to the Salem Area Mass Transit District Board of Directors meeting. Today is Thursday, July 27th, 2023. It is 5:30 p.m. and this meeting is now called to order. Would the clerk of the board please note attendance for quorum? And I would like to state that Director Ramiro Navarro is absent this evening, and we have Director Sadie Carney attending virtually. And our Director Duncan is currently absent, but we're hoping she will be joining us virtually. I will now pass it over to General Manager Pollock to provide our safety moment.
Great, thank you. So this month I would like to focus my comments on a recently completed safety event, the Bus Rodeo. The Bus Rodeo is an annual safety and skills competition for transit operators who volunteer to participate. The bus rodeo involves a pre-trip inspection and a driving test in which a transit operator navigates an obstacle course. The course consists of various obstacles that must be negotiated with a time limit. For example, the offset, where the bus must complete a simulated lane change. The diminishing clearance obstacle, which is the audience favorite, where the bus maintains a minimum speed of 20 miles per hour while driving through a narrowing path outlined by barrels. And the judgment stop, which is the last obstacle in the course, where the bus must stop less than 6 inches from a cone placed on the finish line. This year, we held our first rodeo since COVID. We had over 43 participants, including 27 transit operators, 5 administrative and maintenance personnel who currently hold a commercial driver's license, and 11 administrative personnel who, many for the first time, drove a bus last weekend. We also had one special participant who we may hear about later who completed a partial run. And the winner of this year's competition for the administrative employees was Melissa Joslin. The administrative employees who maintain a CDL was Seth Hamlin. Our Mavericks, who are people who don't qualify for the national competition, either by time or driving record, was Peggy Storr. And the Masters Transit Operator Champion, who will represent Cherriots at the American Public Transportation Association's International Rodeo next May, is Gerald Foles. And a great time was had by all. It was good to see several board members attend. Even though it was quite hot that day, we had a great day and a great safety training event. That concludes my safety message.
Thank you, General Manager Pollock. Okay, so we don't have any changes to the agenda tonight, so we'll move right along to item 3 for our oath of office, where our newly elected officers will take the oath of office. At the Board of Directors special meeting on July 13th, 2023, the board held officer elections, at which time new officers were elected and announced. At this time, each officer will take the oath of office. Will the officers please step forward in front of the dais, right? And we have 2 online.
We'll do that next month.
Okay.
Swear
I, Maria Lopez Pressy, affirm
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
and laws of the United States
and laws of the United States
and the state of Oregon,
in the state of Oregon,
and that I will faithfully perform my duties
and that I will faithfully perform my duties
as in the state or office
as President
as Vice President
for the Board of Directors
for the Board of Directors
of the Salem Area Mass Transit District
of the
for the Salem Area Mass Transit District
for the term ending June 30th, 2025,
for the term ending June 30th, 2025,
or until my successor is duly appointed and qualified.
or until my successor is
duly appointed and qualified.
qualified.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Thank you. Okay. And with that, I would like to invite our now Vice President, but former President Ian Davidson, to provide outgoing remarks. But before we do, we would like to formally recognize your service. Okay, awesome. All right, so we have 2 items here. With the transition of officers, I'd like to take this opportunity to remind community members, staff, and members of the board, to please be respectful and refrain from disruptors during this meeting. All right, 1 second. Okay. Well, Ian, thank you for all your service.
Thank you.
As president. We wanted to present to you this plaque. And I did want to say one other thing. So we've got that plaque that formalizes your service as board president, but we know that you had a very special title, and we wanted to commemorate that as well.
Okay. So for those that don't know, when I was elected board president, I had very young children at home. And so trying to explain what a board president was, I relied on bus mayor. And so this is a wonderful shirt. Thank you very much.
Yes.
I will cherish this and the plaque, but mostly the shirt.
It was mainly Director Carney's idea, and we just wanted to make sure that you always remembered your time as board president and all the many accomplishments that you had, which including all the multiple federal grants that we've received for buses and infrastructure, with our new electric corridor, which we're so excited about, the adoption of a strategic plan, adoption of the DEI plan, implementing weekend and later night service, was a very effective leader during the COVID pandemic, and early development of the South Salem Transit Center. So do we need to take a quick picture? Because I know for the plaque.
Let's do it.
Where do you want us?
If you could come down, that'd be the best.
Like handing it to you.
Take a couple, 2, 1. Sorry. All right, wonderful. Thanks, Ryan.
Okay. All right. So I will now hand it over to you to make your outgoing remarks.
Sure. Thank you very much, President Hinojosa Pressy. Thanks for the opportunity to share some remarks and some reflections. Early on in my time as board president, General Manager Alan Pollock encouraged me to think about what I wanted to accomplish during my short time as board president. And he specifically noted that it would go quickly. And so as I considered his question, I settled on 4 things that I'd like to reflect on. First, I wanted to make it easier for people to serve on the Cherriots board despite their life circumstances. Representative democracy works best when it is truly representative, and the board accomplished this in May 2021 when we adopted a stipend policy for all future board members. The modest stipend provides a small amount of money to cover some of the costs of public service. This is not something that will make anyone rich, far from it, but it will, for some, this will cover the costs of babysitting that they might need to be able to attend a neighborhood association meeting, while for others this might cover missed work shifts while they attend to their board responsibilities. And this, I think most importantly, opens up public service to people who otherwise would be unable to serve, people who will and can become great public servants. Second, I wanted to green our fleet, thereby reducing the pollution we emit in our community. In October 2019, we significantly reduced the climate pollution of our compressed natural gas buses when we switched to renewable natural gas. And then in 2022, we transitioned to using renewable diesel in our diesel buses. This is a far cleaner fuel than fossil diesel. So these two changes made it so that we have now the cleanest transit fleet in Oregon. However, in addition, as President Hinojosa Bressy noted, over the last 4 years, we have received 4 separate awards that have funded 20 battery electric buses, which is almost 1/3 of our local fleet, 10 of which right now are sitting at Del Web's operations headquarters. Soon, we will launch our first electric bus corridor around Route 11, our longest and busiest route. And there is certainly more work to be done here, but I am so very immensely proud of what we've accomplished to green our fleet. We are and will continue to be Oregon's cleanest transit fleet. Third, I wanted to reduce barriers for riders. We've accomplished this in 3 significant ways. First, and most importantly, thanks to the first of its kind investment from the state, we reinstituted Saturday service and for the first time ever, instituted later evenings on weekdays, Sunday, and holiday service. This change alone has been utterly and completely transformational for our community. We also adopted a new fare policy that standardizes fares among our regional and local systems. This launches in just 5 days. In Oregon, the urban-rural divide is real. Standardizing fares perhaps is one small contribution to closing that divide and reducing barriers to our riders who use our regional system. Finally, in September 2022, in partnership with the cities of Salem and Kaiser, as well as Salem-Kaiser Public Schools, we were able to roll out a year-long trial of free fares for anyone 18 years and younger. In the first month, we saw an 89% increase in youth ridership, and the ridership has remained high since. Increased ridership is good, but that's really an incomplete picture. Each one of these rides represent a student being able to attend an after-school program, a parent being able to take their child on the bus to run errands, or a young person being able to get to their after-school job. The trial is proving worthwhile and will soon turn into a permanent policy that benefits youth and families all over our service area. And then the fourth and final thing I wanted to focus on as board president was continuous internal and external improvement. I wanted to take seriously our job of creating community connections. To do this, we created a new strategic plan for Cherriots with a new mission, vision, and values that guide our work as an agency, and it requires rigorous self-evaluation. We adopted a long-range transit plan, which was the first of its kind in Cherriots' history. This plan sets us up for near, medium, and long-term successes in our industry-leading customer net promoter score, which I'll just note is a whopping 40 points above the industry average, is a testament to the efforts we have made in this regard. I'm very proud of my time as board president because I was able to represent not only the board, but also Cherriots as an agency. To the Cherriots staff, I say thank you. Thank you for making it an honor to represent your work. The value that you provide to me, to my family, and the community is remarkable. Because so much of what you do is behind the scenes or done quietly and professionally, I think many in the community do not fully appreciate your contributions. Whatever their feelings, I appreciate you, and I appreciate your contributions. From the maintenance workers who have a more than 99% on-time preventative maintenance performance across all services, to the transit operators who get me and many others where we need to go safely and professionally, to the customer service staff who help thousands of individuals, and to all the many others, including the administrative staff, executive leadership, and to all of these individuals who, to modify a popular phrase, make the buses run on time. Thank you. 4 years ago, Alan was right when he said that my time as board president would go by quickly. I am incredibly proud of all that we have accomplished together. My wife is fond of telling me that though I sometimes have bad days at my day job, I have yet to come home from anything Cherriots related in anything less than a good mood. I love this work, and I'm so grateful to continue to be part of it. We have much more work to do internally and externally, but the future is very bright. We are well on our way to building a South Salem Transit Center that will expand and enhance mobility options throughout the region. We continue to upgrade bus stops to make them more accessible to all of our community. We are rolling out transit signal priority, which will speed up our buses on key corridors. And most significantly, we are making plans for additional service enhancements. I look forward to working with you all to do that. Thank you.
Well, I do think that's going to be a little bit of a tough act to follow for me, but I am honored to have been elected president of the Cherriots Board, and I just look forward to building on all the great work that you started as your time as president. So I thank you so much for everything that you've done. I think as Vice President Davidson has mentioned, there is a few things coming on the horizon that we should be excited about. Some of the major initiatives and activities that we will focus on as a board and organization include continuing the work set out in the strategic plan and DEI plan, introducing those first ever battery electric buses into the fleet, implement the electronic fare system known as UMO, and this one is the one that I'm most excited about, which is develop, prepare, and implement a service enhancement plan, build relationships with community stakeholders to ensure we are meeting the mobility needs of all members of the community. And while my comments might be brief, I definitely wanted to take the time to thank my family. I couldn't do it without their support. I also wanted to thank Cherriots staff, because I mean, I met General Manager Pollock, like 5 years ago now, just trying to get started in serving the community, and he gave me a great opportunity on the Community Advisory, or Citizens Advisory Committee is what it was called back then. And it's been a great journey to now get to here as president of the board. I'm looking forward to working with the board and staff in the coming years as we work to achieve our vision of delivering valued mobility options that inspire community pride. And I want to add that we will continue our focus on ensuring the safety and security of our employees and our riders. So, well, let's get back to work. And at this time, we'll move into item 5, presentations, and I'll turn it over to General Manager Pollock.
Great, thank you. In Cherriots' continued effort to communicate our value to the community, we have a TransDash presentation this evening from James Rubin from TransPro Consulting. He's going to be highlighting the last couple of quarters in regards to our benchmarking and results. He will also be providing an update about the redesign of the dashboard, which is coming soon. So take it away, James. It's all yours.
Thank you, Alan, and thank you, Cherriots leadership team and board members for allowing me to present to you today. I apologize for the extremely weird light on my bald head. I am in a hotel in Cleveland, and I was at this lovely desk over here to my right, but I was getting terrible reception, as is sometimes the case in these hotels. So you have to kind of move more toward the hallway and the core area of the hotel. So I'm getting better reception here despite the glow from my head. So if I'm blinding, I apologize. I'm going to share my screen now, so you'll see less of my shiny head, which is always a good thing. And turn this into presentation mode. Come on, there we go. I'm going to let me take you to our agenda for the day. So we're going to start by looking at some of the more recent results in benchmarking, results from the customer survey, community survey, employee survey. We're going to look a little bit deeper at some of the connectivity metrics that we've been developing as part of TransDash. We're super excited about these, and we want to show those to you. And then I'm going to finish up by talking about, again, some more newly developed metrics, and also our redesign, which we're super proud of. We're really on the cusp of launching our redesign dashboard. Redesign isn't really a good word for it. Let's just call it our beautification effort. We'll get more to that in a few moments when we start talking more specifically about that. So just a quick refresher as to when our most recent surveys were. Customer survey, the most recent results we're seeing here are November 2022. Community survey results, December 22. Employee results from 2022, and connectivity results from July 2023. I feel like there are actually more. I feel like the customer survey results are actually more recent in this than from November 2022. But let me go back to the team and check on that before I give you a definitive answer. So jumping into the benchmark from the most recent survey results, this is what Alan alluded to in the introduction, and also your outgoing board president did as well. This is news I've been sharing with you for a couple of months, but it's nice to see it visualized, especially when you compare Cherriots' performance to the other agencies, particularly across TransDash. So what you're seeing here is a 66 Net Promoter Score. Again, this concept of Net Promoter Score, we ask people on a scale of 0 to 10 how likely they are to recommend Chariot service to friends and family. A 9 and a 10 is a promoter, a 0 through 6 is a detractor, and we subtract those detractors from promoters to get a Net Promoter Score. A 66 Net Promoter Score is an incredibly high Net Promoter Score. It's higher than things like Apple Computer. It's higher than things like, what's another very high? Disney typically gets a very high Net Promoter Score. A 66 is tremendous, meaning very few of their customers are detractors and a tremendous amount of promoters. It's also worth noting that on average, across all of our TransDash agencies, we have an average Net Promoter Score of 37. So that 66 represents a 77% higher level than our average across TransDash agencies. And in fact, the nearest agency to you guys in terms of Net Promoter Score would be our friends in San Antonio at VIA at 46, almost 20 points lower. So tremendous achievement here. Your customers are satisfied, they like the service, and they are absolutely recommend it to their friends and family. Looking at overall satisfaction, which is our other way of looking at satisfaction, the first one is Net Promoter Score. That's the sort of private sector idea that we apply to the transit customer. Customer satisfaction is sort of overall how satisfied are you with the service. And you can see here again, 95% of your customers are telling us that they're satisfied with the service. Very, very, very few are saying they're dissatisfied. So a tremendous achievement there. The average score across TransDash agencies is 82. So you can see you're 13 percentage points higher than the average for TransDash, and CDTA in Albany coming in kind of second there at 86, also 9 percentage points lower than that 95 rate that you guys are seeing here. It is very easy to give this presentation to you guys when you're scoring the 95 and the 66. This is much harder for me to other TransDash agencies who keep seeing you guys scoring the 95 and 66 and look at me with angry eyes. And I say, it's nothing to do with me and everything to do with the incredible work they're doing over at Ellen Kaiser. I want to focus on a very important specific metric that we're following, not just on TransDash, but we're finding a lot of the agencies we work with are having issues around personal security, both on board vehicles, but also for customers who are waiting for vehicles at stops or at bus stops in your case. So looking at the Cherriots results, the darker purple here are on-board vehicle safety, and the lighter purple is your customer's perception of personal security when they're waiting for buses. So you could see our average, I'm sorry, is someone talking? Okay, sorry. Just background sounds are going on here in the hotel, and it's probably something to do with my internet connection. So you can see here, Cherriots at 80% for percent of customers who feel safe when they're on board vehicles. Typically, we see less satisfaction for customers who are waiting for vehicles, and that's not true. That's true not just for Cherriots. That's true across the entire industry. So you could see for customers waiting, we're at 74%. So 74 is right a little bit under average. So I'm not here to deliver all perfectly good happy news. Tiny little bit of not concerning news, but something to look at carefully, which is that on average, 74%. I'm sorry, compared to the average, 74% feeling safe while waiting for buses is a little bit lower. However, once your customers board that vehicle at 82% safety satisfaction, that's 1 percentage point higher than our average across TransDash. So onboard vehicles, customers are pretty much feeling safe. Waiting for vehicles, a little less satisfaction with safety than we see once they board the vehicles. We love to take these results from community surveys. We find time and time again across all of the agencies we work with, communities really find the service that's provided valuable, whether they're using it or not. And I want to remind folks that when we look at community relevance, we're not just looking at customers who use transit here. We're looking at all the customers throughout your entire service. I'm sorry, not all the customers, the entire population of your service area. So some of these people are going to be transit users, a small percentage of them, but for the most part, a lot of these folks aren't. And we ask them, well, how important, how much value does transit provide to your community? And in Cherriots' case, we see 84% of the respondents through your service area say that Cherriots provides value to the community. Pretty much on par with V at 85%, all 5 percentage points above our TransDash average, which is at 79%, a pretty high number, but you can see we trail down to RTD down there at 68%. So doing well in this category as well, certainly being recognized by your community as being a valuable part of it. Employee engagement. So on this one, we have a little bit of data that we need to update. In other words, some of this data is from your last employee engagement survey, so we need to get more updated results. But we thought it would be interesting to compare those results for your employee engagement results to LTD down the road. They're close, 59 and 67. I think the scaling on this chart is a little bit off, so I apologize for that. I don't mean to imply that this is a 0 to 100 scale, because then the 59 and the 67 are actually pretty darn close to each other. And in my mind, a 59 and a 67 are pretty close, right? When you consider a margin of error of about 5%, that's going to get them to be pretty close. So I think this graph is representing a distance between you guys and LTD that's probably not nearly as great of a distance. But it's certainly worth noting and looking at and seeing these results. We're really anxious to update the employee engagement results in our TransDash. So I assume that will be coming soon. And I wanted to move on now and talk about some of the connectivity measuring. So one of the things that let me pause there actually before I do that and just ask questions relating to the results that I just showed. I can stop sharing so I can actually see you for a sec. Any questions? Mostly positive. So your questions could be, why is everyone else doing so bad? Why aren't they coming here and learning from us? And that would be something I would suggest to them. Okay. If there are no questions, I'm going to go back to the presentation and move forward with some of the redesign stuff here. So this is our connectivity mapping. We're using a tool here that looks at your service area and it creates an average access from any point in your service area. So it's looking at the average number of jobs that are accessible from any location within your service area in a 45-minute travel time by transit. So what we do is we look at census numbers, we look at job numbers, and we load in your GTFS file to come up with that number. Now, I don't want to make you think that that's the only, like 49,086 jobs is an average number across all points within the service area. There are obviously points closer to the center of the city for which that number is going to be much, much higher, the number of jobs accessible within a 45-minute time period by transit. But because this is an average of all of the points in your service area, that's why we're at 49,000. What we do with that number, and you'll see a little bit more on the next screen, is we create an equity index out of it. So not only are we looking at the average number of jobs that are accessible in a 45-minute time period, we're going to also look at the average number of jobs that are accessible in that time period by workers who are earning less than $1,500 a month versus the same measure for workers earning more than $3,333 per month, and put one right on top of another to create an index. What that does is it gives us a number up, below, and above 1. So if the number goes above 1, what we're saying is that the system, for the most part, is providing better, slightly better access to low-income workers. If the number goes below 1, what we're saying is the system provides slightly better access to higher wage workers. So what we're seeing here for Cherriots results at a 1.14 is that you have more of a tendency to provide service to low-income workers in your service area than higher income workers. We also, using Convey-All, are coming up with a spatial metric, which is population access to transit. This is the percent of the population in the entire service area that can reach a bus stop within a 10-minute walk. So that turns out to be 78% of the population in your service area is a 10-minute walk or less from a bus stop. How do those numbers compare to other agencies? Let's take a look. Average job access, you can see at 49,000, LTD at 30 less. The Rapid has a much, much higher number, close to 100,000. The difference there being is that the Rapid is including special zones that they're only providing on-demand service to. So it's not exactly an apples to apples comparison there. And CDTA coming in at just under 30,000. How does the equity index measure look across all agencies? Not surprising that you guys in LTD are very similar at 1.14 and 1.18, meaning slightly more access to lower income workers than to higher income workers. Less so the case at Grand Rapids for the Rapid, and slightly more so the case in Albany for CDTA. Really, really great results for population access to transit when we look at Cherriots compared to other agencies. 78% is a really high number within 10-minute walk to a bus stop. LTD is behind you guys at 65%, the Rapid down at 60%. And then you could see CDTA in Albany only at 35%. That's very much a function of the fact that in Albany, they're providing service to a lot of really rural counties at this point. So people are pretty far from those bus stops. So really great results here at 78%. Now I want to transition to our dashboard redesign. What we sort of have for you here on the left is our before, and on the right is where we're moving toward. We're anticipating this dashboard redesign launch for all of our agencies to be complete by the end of next week. So by the end of next week, we'll be showing you at Cherriots your dashboard in the new design. Why did we do this? Well, our focus at the beginning was very much on getting the dashboard up and running. We got a whole bunch of data from all of our agencies. We had a template, we put it in, and we ran with it. And what we found as we looked at it, and what we found as we put fresh eyes on it, that we had all the information there, but we needed to organize it a little bit differently. We needed to make the dashboard a little bit more beautiful. We needed to make the dashboard a little bit more engaging. Remember, a big part we want to do here isn't just show numbers to people. What we want to do here is tell a story. And we didn't feel that the other design that we initially had was really getting at the story. It was very focused on, reflecting strategic plans and percent towards goals achieved. But a big piece of the puzzle that was missing was actual numbers, right? So if we say, Cherriots is 70% of their goal towards reducing greenhouse gas emissions, well, that's a wonderful thing, but we want to also know how much greenhouse gas emissions is Cherriots responsible for reducing from the environment because you guys are operating service. And I think the people looking at dashboards are going to want to know those numbers as well, not just progress towards your agency goal, but actual real numbers in terms of what these metrics represent. So what you see here on the left is the old design, the landing page, so to speak. What you see on the right is the new design that'll be implemented, where folks will land on this new page on the right. This doesn't have the functionality of it. It's essentially a screenshot, but there's hoverability here, so that when you hover over each of these numbers, it gives you an explanation as to exactly how that number was computed. And there are additional screens. So on the left side here, you see what used to be the dashboard sort of more detailed metric page. On the right, we're going to move to a different layout where it's sort of a more of a grid function where you can filter out different metrics and different time periods. We're also going to show some really cool things on this grid that we didn't have in the previous design. We're going to have like a little, it's like a strong man. It's like the old cartoony figure with the handlebar mustache lifting a dumbbell for agencies that are setting ambitious goals, right? Because we want to show that this is an agency that isn't happy to just say, all right, we got good numbers. We want to say like, yeah, we got good numbers, but we're pushing it. We also, in your case, this is going to be extremely relevant, but we also want to have like a trophy icon next to metrics for agencies that are really knocking it out of the park, right? That are really substantially higher in average and in satisfaction and in performance than other agencies. And I think that would certainly be the case for your NPS and overall SAT scores. So those numbers will have trophies in it. A little bit more of a visualization of the data, a little bit easier to digest and play around with things. And this idea of showing each individual metric against the national TransDash average, which will be a straight up and down line, so you can immediately see how your agency is doing compared to that national average. And you can filter here as well so that you can pick the specific metrics that you're looking forward to. I want to just, for a few minutes, and I know we're running out of time here, and I apologize. I just want to highlight two important metrics that we just had a meeting on that we're developing for the TransDash. One is coming to a consensus around how we're showing net greenhouse gas emission benefit. We're using APTA guidance here to report the total amount of kilograms of CO2 equivalent removed or added, theoretically, during transit operations, where calculations are planned to occur during the next quarter. So we're figuring all of this out, and we're going to do these calculations across all of our TransDash agencies. We're going to do the calculations at TransPro. We're just going to collect the data from you to crunch the numbers. And part of doing those number crunching is we're also going to have a brand new congestion metric, which is going to look at the average VMT displaced per passenger boarding. That methodology is still being tweaked, so I don't have the exact methodology to share with you today. So that concludes what I have for you today. I want to thank you guys for being charter members of our TransDash family. We're really excited about the redesign. We're really excited about telling transit stories around the country. We're really excited about screaming value over volume from the top of mountains as much as we can. And there are some very nice mountains in your part of the country. So we continue to appreciate the collaboration and the work with you guys. So with that, I'll just address that you have.
Thank you for that presentation. Directors, do you have any questions? Director Carney?
Thank you, President Host Pressy. I hope I'm not giving you much feedback, but maybe I am. I am also in a hotel with a view of some of the terrific mountains that we have here. So my first question was, how are you calculating walk time? Are you using a sidewalk network, or is this Euclidean boundary?
Yeah, it's using a network. We load a street network into the convey all tool. So it's not as the crow flies. I love that expression, as the crow flies. Like anyone actually travels that way. No, it's based on the actual street grid. So if you've got a 10-mile walk and it's a ziggy zaggy thing, that's what we're calculating.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Because I know, at least when I was doing a lot of work in GIS, that was not easy to calculate. Hopefully it has become easier, but that's the right way to do it. And then my next comments were, the dashboard redesign is awesome. And I'm wondering, people know what Cherriots is because we are Cherriots, or hopefully they know what Cherriots is. But there's some acronyms on there. Do people know where or what the LTD and RTC and whatever, the other ones are? Is there any kind of explanation as like a geographic entity and transit, that kind of stuff?
There absolutely is. There's going to be a glossary attached to this thing that's clickable through it. And I apologize. I missed like a big component to this, which is also when we launched our dashboard, we kind of imagined these dashboards living in agency websites, which they will, and that's coming soon, and a national dashboard. But we didn't give them a home, if you know what I mean. So we've actually created a microsite that's going to live at TransPro, that's going to have this national dashboard information about TransDash and links to each of the individual agency TransDashes so that there's a place to situate that. On those agency pages, there's going to be an opportunity for all sorts of other interesting things, like videos from leadership, CEOs, GMs, quotes, all sorts of other stuff. We're putting a cable news ticker at the bottom that has like the key things that you guys have decided you want to show on the dashboard right under it. So that's going into the host site around it. And along with that, that's a big piece of this.
Yeah, I mean, the data visualization and communicating with people in kind of meaningful ways is just huge. And I think Edward Tufte and others, including myself, would be very proud. So thank you.
Excellent. Thank you.
Director Holstrom?
Thank you. So I like the connectivity metrics that you've shared with us, and good to see where we fall. But, there's a lot of that. I just want to be clear, that's beyond the transit agency's control. So much of this is really reliant on what the community looks like, where the housing, where the jobs and employment opportunities are within the community. And I think we want to make sure that we're continuing to work with the cities and counties to make sure that we're planning for a future where we're putting more people, more jobs, more opportunities close to transit, to make sure that we're building a community where more people can access that opportunity. I guess I don't really have a question, but I appreciate it. Thank you.
I appreciate the comment, and I'll reply in saying this, which is that one of the things we're finding very much so, right, is that exactly as you said, right, the census, the jobs, the location of people and where they're working, that's not going to change a tremendous amount, particularly on a quarter-to-quarter basis, right? But the thing that we are loading in finding does change, sometimes dramatically, sometimes even subtly, on an agency level, are the service files, the GTFS files, right? So if transit agency makes a change in their scheduling, right, where some routes perhaps run less frequently or take a different route to get to where people are going, that gets reflected in the metric. Now, is that changing the metric that much on a quarter-to-quarter basis? Not that. I haven't seen an agency essentially blow up their service pattern, create a new one, us load that up as a GTFS file and see how that plays out. We haven't had that experience. So I think your point is really well taken, which is that it's that service file that's going to cause the changes on a quarter-to-quarter basis.
Thank you. Director Davidson?
Thank you. Thanks, James, for the presentation. I also really like the connectivity metric. I want to, and you probably said this in your presentation, but is this a connectivity measure looking at our local system, or is it local and regional? Well, maybe that's a staff.
It's local. It's the local
Okay.
Chariot service.
Perfect. Thank you.
It's right. We tailored it to your service area.
Okay, that's wonderful. And then I'll just say that I would love to see this same measure done pre route design. I forget what the change was when we had Jarrett Walker and his team come in and redesign everything. I don't know if that was a better Cherriots or momentum forward. I forget, but I would love to see the counterfactual version, because I think the way that we have prioritized frequency is the smart choice, but I'd love to see that borne out with these kinds of measures as well. And then I think that's it. Oh, actually, no. When can I see TransDash?
Well, the redesign, the new dashboard is going live for you guys by the end of next week. So by the end of next week, you'll see a redesigned Cherriots TransDash.
So I've been unable to find the old designed one. Is that intentional, or Like, was there a public
I
facing one?
don't think that I don't think you guys have put it on your website yet. I think we've still been working on that. We've been tweaking some things. We've been waiting for some of it to kind of fill in and get the metrics quite right. We are at that point. We are ready to go.
Got it.
Yeah, that is correct. We kept getting closer, and then the redesign was coming, and we didn't want to put it out and then change it in
Sure.
3 weeks. So about 2 weeks it'll be out, and we'll make an announcement.
Great, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you again for that presentation, and very much looking forward to our updated dashboard. I'll turn it back over to General Manager Pollock for our next presentation.
Great, thank you. Next up is a presentation on the 2023 state legislative session that we're all aware of recently concluded. And we have with us this evening from CFM, Dale Penn and Waylon Buchan, who will make the presentation.
Thank you very much, Alan. Again, this is Dale Penn. I'm the State Affairs Partner with CFM Advocates, and with me I have Waylon Buchan, who is also one of two of the team members who work on the projects for Cherriots. So we have a presentation that should pop up very shortly. I have a copy here. I can just hold it up for people so it doesn't have the same effect.
Hold for some technical difficulties.
This is the part where Dale tap dances. Well, we work at the legislature, and tech problems and IT issues are a regular occurrence during committee hearings. As we've transitioned from the pandemic, we've all learned how to do these meetings virtually, and what we found very quickly is that coordinating technology for a myriad groups of individuals over the last 3 years has been challenging. So this is not deal with this all the time. So.
Oh, can you double check that your mic is on?
Oh, yes. Can you guys hear me?
Do you have a bright green light on there?
There is a green light. I don't know how. Oh, there we go.
There,
Now
wonderful.
it is very bright. Thanks, Alan.
Right now.
Sounds like things are restarting, so. Well, I can go ahead and get started if you'd like, and as we get the tech issues worked out, we can have the corresponding slides show up on the screen. So again, Dale Penn with CFM. For our agenda today, we wanted to talk about the 2023 legislative session. I want to provide a little overview of your CFM State Affairs team. Regarding the session, we want to talk about timeline and dates, and some of the major issues, both transportation related and not transportation related, that the legislature dealt with this year. We also want to just remind everyone about the Salem Area Mass Transit District Legislative Priority List. This is a document that the Legislative Committee agrees on, develops, and then we implement that at the legislature every year. And finally, we want to talk about the interim and 2024 session and moving forward. So. One of the slides that would be up right now is an overview of our CFM state team. We have 5 lobbyists, 2 of whom, Waylon and myself, are focused 100% on Cherriots. So when you interact at the legislature with legislators or with agency folks, it's usually Waylon or myself who will go with you into meetings or participate in conversations with legislators, with the agency around issues important to Cherriots. We have 3 other members, Zach Reeves, Ryan Gleason, and Jessica Adamson, who will stand in once in a while for issues related to subject matters that they're experts on. So you would see pictures of them right now if the slide was up. So, so the 2023 legislative session, it started on January 17th, and during the odd years, the Oregon legislature will go for a constitutionally limited 160 days. So with the start date of January 17th, the constitutional limited sine die date was June 25th, and that is actually when we officially ended. So they went for the full 160 days. Another couple dates that are important, both February 22nd and May 17th, 2 days where Oregon releases their economic forecast. Waylon's going to talk a little bit more about how the economic forecast impacted some of the things at the legislature this year, but no matter what, those serve as providing the framework, the budget framework that legislators need in order to end session. Legislators only have one true responsibility during a legislative session, and that is passing a budget. That's their only constitutional duty. Everything else they pass, whether it's additional budget allocations or policy work, is all secondary to passing a budget. So receiving those economic forecasts are hugely important. Some major issues this year that we discussed in the legislature, we had, or major issues at the legislature. Number one is we had new leadership. So we had a new Senate president. As everyone on this board knows, former Senate President Peter Courtney was a champion of Cherriots issues for years. Having served on the board when it was first constituted, he was someone that we went to regularly with requests for help or worked collaboratively with his office on a wide range of issues, both policy and budget focused. We also have a brand new governor. And so with a new governor starting and being sworn in right before legislative session starts, they need staff, they need to start interacting with the agencies. So there's a significant liminal zone or a period of time when a new governor will bring on new people, get them up to speed and whatnot. And so there's always the question of how that will work going into a legislative session with a lot of decisions to be made. So with new leadership, and of course, then the Speaker of the House, Dan Rayfield, was an individual who had been appointed or secured that position just recently. This is the first long session. So new Senate President, relatively new Speaker, brand new governor, who also, of course, has been our speaker for many years. So it was brand new leadership in the building. How would those intricate relationships work? And we just don't know. This is also the first in-person session that we've had since 2020, March of 2020. As everyone remembers, everyone went into lockdown in March of 2020. We had just finished the short legislative session at that point. So it was new for everyone. For the last 3 years, we've been interacting with legislators, with policymakers, with stakeholders, with everyone, the agencies, almost entirely virtually. And that creates all sorts of challenges. We started coming back to a Capitol that was only partially open. We had major construction being completed at the Capitol the entirety of session. It will continue next year, as everyone knows, right along the street here. It's pretty much blocked off for the next however long few weeks or months. We don't expect it to be much better in 2024. And to be honest, what we've heard is that even in 2025, the next long session, we expect not a fully open Capitol. And that creates quite a bit of challenges. If you want to bring a transit day to the building, like our friends at the Oregon Transit Association often do in a long session, we couldn't really do that this year because of the total number of individuals allowed in the building was much less than it normally is. So you have to change your tactics, you have to change how you advocate, how you work with your grassroots entities, the individuals who care about Cherriots and transit in general. It changes everything. And so that was another challenge that we had going into this legislative session. A couple of the major issues, not specifically transit related, but important nonetheless to the individuals you serve, were around housing and semiconductor packages this year. So Democratic leadership entered the 2023 legislative session intent on passing two large policy and funding packages within the first 30 days of session. Effectively almost a little bit of a mini session, short session right at the beginning. One of those packages incentivizing the semiconductor industry to invest in Oregon, and the other package addressing housing and houselessness and homelessness. The semiconductor package, Senate Bill 4, originally a $600 million package, was whittled down to about $200 million, and which can be used to leverage the CHIPS investments to increase Oregon's existing 15% share of the U.S. semiconductor industry. The land use component of Senate Bill 4 was a little bit more controversial, and it gives the governor sweeping authority to circumvent Oregon's land use process to bring parcels into the UGB that she deems important to the semiconductor industry. That itself, anytime you deal with land use, is heavily controversial. Then housing and homelessness. These are House Bills 2001, which was the policy component, and 5019, which is the funding component. Once Governor Kotek was sworn in, I think her first official act was to enact a homelessness state of emergency and tried to really push the state to invest in or build at least 36,000 additional units of housing each year. And the legislature was tasked with helping implement that. So that was part of House Bill 2001 and 5019. Bipartisan group of legislators pushed those issues through. And as soon as those two packages were implemented, there was a lot of bipartisan effort to get those accomplished. Then that bipartisan nature kind of stopped. So I'm going to stop there, see if there are any questions on those issues, and then we can move on to some others that we have to talk about.
Director Carney.
On a report of this nature. Thank you, Dale, for the report. I just have to note for the board and for others that the restrictions on access to the Capitol and I'm not sure if this is 100% accurate, Dale, but you can correct me if I'm wrong, do seem to have led to a gun-free Capitol, which I don't think is a bad thing. And then the other things I wanted to bring up is on the semiconductor super siting, one of the arguments for placement of a semiconductor production facility in the state of Oregon is the number of jobs and the number of new homes. But the super siting authority gives the governor the ability to work outside existing urban growth boundaries. And so I would just encourage us, should it come to the Salem area, which seems unlikely, but us to kind of coordinate with our transit partners around the state to make sure that any, additional new housing that is working in a semiconductor facility can and will be served by public transportation. And then second, I just wanted to touch on House Bill 2001, which is related to housing, and DLCD, the Department of Land Conservation and Development, which I also work for, is receiving applications for an RFP, a request for proposals, on selecting contractors and consultants to do the work associated with the House bill. And it might be a good place to make sure that there is a transit voice involved. There's several elements of that request for proposal that I think have a very close relationship with transportation opportunities. One of which is an equitable community engagement aspect of it. And I think that we could also learn from the outcomes of that element of the RFP, because there's some guidance that will be developed about developing relationships with community-based organizations and sustaining them in an ongoing way at a local level. So my comments for now. Thank you.
Any other questions? I think we can keep going.
Okay. I'll borrow this. Can you hear me okay? All right. Waylon Buchan here. Thanks again for having me this evening. So I'm going to dive a little bit into transportation. And this year, I think the first thing we'll talk about is the I-5 bridge. That was kind of signaled early on as one of the flagship agenda items for the Joint Committee on Transportation. The co-chair signaled this pretty early on, that this is something they wanted to really work as a committee and have something fleshed out by the end of session. Part of the urgency behind this is the passage of the bipartisan infrastructure law a couple years ago, which has essentially positioned billions and billions of dollars of competitive grant programs, funds available to states to replace, A-link bridges. So it's basically right there, federal match at our disposal if we can, come together as a state and put some funds in place. Washington State has already sort of put some skin in the game here and has kind of thrown down the gauntlet, if you will. So our joint committee and the associated joint committee on the I-5 bridge have been working to put something together. This year, they did run into a bit of turbulence as they tried to work through the details of the proposal. They ultimately stalled their major piece of legislation after multiple amendment attempts, and they came to some pretty ideological and important disagreements. Everything from the scope and scale and size of the bridge, whether it was going to have certain widths of lanes and capacity, the overall price tag and $7.5 billion, and there's a lot of debate about whether it should be capped at a lower amount in order to put some pressure on the agency that's going to deliver that project. In addition to that, there were concerns about how the bridge would be constructed and if there should be a mandate inside the bill to say use a unionized workforce. And so there were some divides that sort of came about, and inside that committee they ended up in an impasse, and that piece of legislation actually didn't move forward. However, at the end of session, we did see in one of the final end of session reconciliation bills $1 billion for the bridge. Without a lot of policy guidance or sideboards on that. It will come in 4 different tranches of $250 million over the next 8 years, so 4 biennia to roll this all out. And it'll be in the form of general obligation bonding, which was also another sticking point in the committee level. Typically, big bridges and mega projects, and mostly all of our transportation is built out of the highway fund and bonding within that. So to go for something that could, you're competing with K through 12 education and a whole host of other things when you go general fund, so that was also contentious. And in any event, they've given that check essentially to ODOT over the next 8 years, and we expect a lot more work and a lot more discussions to follow. We expect the short session to be a bit of a blitz, and they'll probably bring some sort of omnibus legislation to put more guidance and more framework there. And then I guess it's very timely to just note for you that the committee on the I-5 bridge actually does meet tomorrow morning at 9 a.m., and it's a virtual hearing from hearing room F. And we can provide that information after we conclude our remarks here. But they're going to be going over the design, the scope, potential concepts, potential price, and how they would deliver that project. So it's a good high-level overview on an I-5 update now that we do have some funding sort of waiting in the wings. A couple other little key transportation highlights that are noteworthy this year, particularly because they've been attempted year after year and kind of perennially just die and don't necessarily move forward. But we've seen House Bill 2095, Photo Radar Authority, was given to city governments, and that's something that they've been striving for many years. 2099, House Bill 2099, was a little mini omnibus transportation bill that did a lot of things, but one of the cool things it did was lowered the eligibility hurdles or the threshold for safe routes to school funding. It also eliminated the cash match requirements, so school districts can now, within 2 miles of their facilities, build out safer pedestrian facilities for children that are walking to school. It's a really great program. It's great to see that access kind of enhanced for all these different groups that want to rely on it. We also saw House Bill 2426, still sort of in the news, Oregonian self-serve gas, and whether we're able to pump our own gas and fill up our own fuel tanks. There's some kind of sideboards and caveats in the bill that there still needs to be some degree of physically present staff there to accommodate those that might need that or desire that. And we are still waiting to see whether the governor exercises veto authority over that bill or not. So,
and that's up tomorrow, so we will know tomorrow whether or not she signs it or not. And there's a lot of debate whether or not that actually happens. So
Yeah.
whether she signs it, whether she vetoes it, or just declines to sign it, will go into play.
And I won't wager a guess here on the record. We really don't know. And then another interesting piece that kind of came about, this wasn't necessarily a bill, although there were pieces of legislation brought in regards to tolling, and limiting tolling or pulling money out for local governments to help with diversion of traffic, those kind of things. But ultimately, while legislative efforts to put a stop or slow down tolling were not successful, those individuals were successful in getting the governor to exercise her executive authority and put a pause on all toll collections until the first quarter of 2026. So I think January 2026, the department will have the authority to actually do tolling. Until then, they're just going to kind of work towards that. But it is, if you've been tracking tolling closely, that's kind of a major development that just happened this session. How about I pause there before we move on into budget and just see if anyone has any kind of transportation-specific questions?
And one thing I'll mention about other transportation bills, we have a whole list from our Cherriots legislative agenda bills that we track that we're going to cover later too. So if there are specific bills that you want to know about, we do have another area there to talk about too.
I'm going to go with Director Davidson.
Thank you, President Host Pressey. Can you, well, first off, what happens if the governor declines to sign? I am actually not familiar with what happens in Oregon, if that.
The bill essentially dies. It does not-
So it's a de facto veto?
It will
Okay.
not go into law. It will not be enrolled into Oregon chapter law if the governor exercises a veto.
Got it.
No, actually, I think it does go.
Did I misunderstand your
So,
question? If they
I-
decline, if they take no action.
No action, yeah. So at the
then
federal level, it becomes law.
That's
Yeah,
also
yeah.
true. At the
Oh,
state.
that's also
Sorry,
true.
I
Okay.
misunderstood your question, but you're
Okay.
absolutely right, yeah.
No worries. Okay, thank you. And then, so as you know, utilizing general obligation bonds to pay for at least our first portion of the bridge is kind of unique. Can you talk me through there's obvious implications for like the bread and butter of, K through 12 funding and a whole host of other things. Is there anything particularly noteworthy to public transit that utilizing general obligation bonds impacts or creates opportunities for?
I mean, in general, Director Davidson, utilizing, if I can understand your question, does utilizing bonding authority for the bridge or for projects in general, does that impact transit investment or transit? Is that generally the question, or?
Yeah, like, if I understand the mechanisms correctly, it probably frees up more highway trust fund for other things,
Well, unfortunately, you can't use highway trust fund dollars for transit activities usually. But I
Right.
think your point still stands that I could characterize it as a bit of a paradigm shift. Where
Okay.
typically, the highway fund has been its own solvent, kind of self-sustaining fund. And
Yeah.
it's been what's used, it's really not discretional. It's constitutionally protected. You can only use it for certain expenditures. And so that's always sort of been there. Historically, only $1 million or $2 would trickle from general funds into the Department of Transportation, and they were left to really
Right.
exist off the highway fund. So I would consider this a big change.
Yeah.
To have $1 billion sent towards a major infrastructure project. And maybe it's a toe in the door towards starting a conversation about, could you use general funds for other transportation purposes? But I think I'm speculating a lot as I say it.
And part of what you're getting at is, I think, going to be part of the conversation over the next 2 years as we enter the next phase of a conversation around the transportation package. We passed one back in 2017, which shifted how we pay for transit, we pay for other services, and over the next 2 years, we'll start that conversation again about what the next transportation package looks like, how we fund transportation in general, transit, bike ped, the whole continuum, and everything is going to be up for discussion at that point. So I think this funding mechanism for the bridge is a change of, or a taste of things to come.
Okay. Does it signal do you have a sense if there's an appetite from the joint chairs, for example, to really top-down rethink funding of transportation?
A top-down what?
Rethink of how they
Oh.
fund transportation, are we going all in on road usage charges, or is it gonna be marginal stuffs?
I think they've seen the writing on the wall for a while now, and they realize that we are seeing declining fuels tax revenues, right, from CAFE standards and fuel efficiency and more people adopting EVs. So we're seeing that pretty robust fuels tax highway revenue stream decline over the years, and it's just sort of a natural diminishing returns. They're fully funded on everything they've passed in 2017 on the project side. But if you look at ODOT's budget, they do run into some uncertainty, and I wouldn't call it a fiscal cliff by the end of 2024, but they are looking for revenue sources. And road user charging is one of those things that's on the table. We are a bit of a pioneer here in Oregon with road user charging. We have the Orgo program that was instituted in 2015. It's the first and only state to collect revenue through road user charging, so that's still sort of there as an option. You can enroll in that today. More importantly, we have seen ODOT introduce and bring legislation, I think starting in 2019, they did it again in 2023, to enact a mandatory road user charge. I believe this year's version would have started that for all new vehicles purchased after 2027. And so by a date certain, they do have it on sort of in their intention to implement a mandatory road user charge that would, I think, like you're saying, just sort of redo the entire thing from top down.
That's really helpful. My general sense is that you get, you know, a once in a century whack at funding transportation, and we decided, you know, about a century ago to use fuel taxes, and a century is a long time, and so maybe it's half a century, but yeah, okay, very curious to see that. Thank you.
Hard to shake our addiction to our fuel tax. It's the cheapest thing to implement.
Right.
It's very cheap, so they use it everywhere.
Director Carney?
Thank you, President Hinojosa-Pressy. I just have a question about House Bill 3409, which is the Community Green Infrastructure Grants. I should know more about this, and I will know more about it tomorrow after the Land Conservation and Development Commission receives their legislative report. But I don't know that there was any mention of, so I'm sorry to expose what little knowledge I do have for the rest of the board members and those listening. It's really about trees. It's really about planting trees in cities to reduce the heat island effect. But I think we can all agree that walking down a street with trees to get to a bus stop is better than walking down a street with no trees to get to a bus stop. And I'm not saying that our transit corridors are, you know, our greatest heat islands, but they may be. And so I don't know if there's any mention of prioritization of those grants in the language of the bill, or if it's just kind of like trees writ large. But a question if you have the answer, and if you don't, I will look for it elsewhere.
I don't have the answer off the top of my head, but I'm happy to look into that for you.
And I'm trying to remember if that was the $90 million big environmental package that you're referring to, a 3409, or if it was a different one, because that one is 115 sections and 60 pages of like, you know, 80 different issues, of which they are talking a lot
You don't
about.
have them all right here, Waylon.
But we can definitely follow up on that and give you some more information.
It was one of those little parts of it.
It was it? Is that, are we talking about that
Okay.
same bill? I think we're.
Thank you, Director Holmstrom.
And I don't know if we know how they're gonna roll that out, or a lot of those other sections. And I think you gave me a good segue into the next kind of budget section, because that was one of the semi-surprises that we saw this session. We saw the formulation of some sort of mini omnibus packages taking place all during the 5-week Republican Senate walkout. And so while they were away, budget crafters and those that stayed back still were working on legislation and putting together these little omnibus packages that we saw, for the most part, skip across the finish line when everyone came back. So in that 3409 contained, I think, $90 million of different climate impact investments, heat dome mitigation, wildfire risk. I think we're all talking about that same package. And there's a lot there to unpack, $90 million worth of investments, and some of them are really exciting and transformative, but we can definitely follow up. Do you want to say something?
Yeah, I was just say that package also included some zero emission vehicle stuff that I was going to talk about, but only like about $3 million for medium and heavy vehicles, and solar investments, heat pump investments, all sorts of things. It was an interesting package that, along with a drought package and several other things, came together right at the end of session.
Well, and why I say it was a surprise is because it took a bunch of other little policy bills that maybe were not doing well on their own and put them into one big kitchen sink, and then those all passed. So some of us were surprised, and advocates in the building were surprised to learn that maybe their one pet project bill looked like it was dying in Ways and Means, only for it to pop up as Section 49 inside this larger bill. So A lot of moving pieces, a lot of moving parts. The budget landscape is always tricky. And with that said, I'll just give a really quick budget kind of snapshot. It gave us a little bit of whiplash because we entered the 2023 session like tempering expectations. We were sort of nervous. The co-chairs were telegraphing that they were concerned that all of the rate increases at the federal level were going to impact us here in Oregon. We were going to have either a soft landing or a hard crash or some sort of recession. And so they were not overly optimistic about what they were going to be handing out this session as far as the budget. Then we saw two forecasts back to back that were very rosy and telling us that we are not going to be hitting a soft landing or a recession anytime soon, but in fact, we're going to be collecting hand over fist more revenue than we anticipated since the last estimate, which was I think the close of 2021. How far up are we? We are up general fund about $7.4 billion from the end of the close of session in 2021. And basically 1.9 billion for the current biennium, more for the future biennium because it's just going to get better on the collections. Personal income taxes are so high that we now have a record-breaking $5.5 billion kicker that we're estimated for going forward. So that's significant, it's substantial, and we were all quite surprised. Lawmakers took these additional resources and ran with them, and we did see, like I started to allude to, a bunch of different little packages come together. We saw a $100 million drought package, which was pretty substantial and directed towards largely rural and southern Oregon. We also saw $90 million for public defense. We saw a $75 million child tax credit package. We did see a $90 million environmental package or climate package, I guess we could call it. And that's just to sort of name a few. In the Christmas tree bill, we saw another $1 billion go out the door in projects of all different types. We saw pay increases go to state agencies. At the end of the day, we did not see that pulling back and putting large amounts into reserves that were sort of telegraphed early on. Not everybody got everything they asked for, but substantial resources went out the gate, and we expect those kind of discussions to continue over the next biennium. Anything you want to add on the budget front?
No,
It was a bit of a wild year for sure. Any questions on budget? Back to you.
All right, the next slide is going to talk about our state legislative agenda, and I don't know if you guys have copies in front of you, but you've seen your state legislative agenda. We work on this together in the interim, and I just put this slide mainly just to remind folks, here are the major issues prioritized at level 1, 2, and 3 that we focus on, that we try to spend the majority of our time working on. And number 1 is perennially the preservation and maintenance and protection of the STIF dollars, the Enhanced Transit Fund. There's always the fear that a pot of money sitting there that's allocated for one purpose gets swept for something else. And I think I've mentioned this in front of this group before, but the first year that we implemented 2017, there was discussion and a small attempt to do that, and we stopped it, and we continue to put that as our number 1 priority going forward. The other issues around zero emission vehicles, we talked about the $90 million package and how some of that was allocated towards medium and heavy duty zero emission vehicles. Supporting increased investments in footpaths and bicycle trails. So we monitor legislation. There was a few things here and there that popped up this session around those issues, and we would monitor and see if there are opportunities to engage. And then we have a couple other bills that I'll talk about in a minute. And of course, the I-5 bridge replacement is a major issue and impacts the entire region. It's one we want to track. So the next slide, if we had that, is just around the bills of interest. That some of those are priority 1 and 2 bills that we tracked, that Cherriots testified on or advocated. I want to spend just a couple minutes going over a couple of those. House Bill 2662, the West Side Express Service Expansion Task Force. This is a bill brought forward originally by Wilsonville that Cherriots supported. It would have established the Willamette Valley Commuter Rail Task Force. And this task force would be made up of 18 members, and it was supposed to investigate how to expand the West commuter rail service to Salem. There was broad bipartisan support of this effort, but despite that, because of a fiscal, this is one of those bills that passed out of committee, went down to Ways and Means, and then just ended up going nowhere, and that happens to hundreds and hundreds of bills each year. So there are discussions that are going to take place in the interim about what to do regarding this issue. There may be a renewed effort in 2024 or 2025 around this. So this is one we're going to be closely monitoring. House Bill 3171, this is transit peer counseling. This is a bill that passed. Cherriots was a significant supporter of this. It would make it does make peer support counseling within transit professions both confidential and undisclosable by any participant to the general public. It was a high priority for us. And General Manager Pollock testified in support of the bill in front of the Joint Committee. We discussed some of the difficulties facing transit workers, including loitering, vandalism, drug use, increased presence of weapons, and individuals suffering from mental health incidents, and the impact that has on Chariot workers. So we tried to find ways to support the workers, and this was one bill that we supported, we advocated for, and it easily passed both chambers. Another bill I want to talk about is House Bill 3224, which is a priority of Representative Anderson from Salem. This was a bill that Cherriots supported, and we worked very closely with his office on. This bill, oddly enough, while it died, the issue was funded through one of the end of session bills, the 5506. And so Director Pollock, myself, and others are going to be working on building out what that investigation, that feasibility study will look like over the next year and a half. And we hope to have that done and completed and brought back to the 2025 legislative session for next steps. I think I will stop there and see if there is anything else on transit bills issues that you guys would like to discuss.
Director Carney.
Thank you, President Hinojosa-Pressy. I just have a question, and that is, through whom or how did Wilsonville introduce the West expansion bill?
So they, I believe, introduced it. I can't remember if it was introduced through the committee itself or they had a champion, but they do have a couple of their local electeds very interested in this. Senator Aaron Woods, who's a new legislator in the Canby, Wilsonville area. His district is kind of large there. And I think Representative potentially Neron and a couple others who have been big supporters of this issue. I think they brought this to them in the interim and then developed the concept. But I can't remember off the top of my head whether this is a committee bill or if they actually used it as one of their bills. And just as a reminder, during the long legislative session, legislators, if they meet the deadlines, can introduce pretty much as much legislation as they want. During the short session, which will be next year, they are going to be limited to 2, and the committees, I think, are limited to 3 committees. The presiding officers and others have some additional opportunities. But so I don't know whether or not this will come back in 2024 with those limited, tight requirements, or if it'll be a 2025 package, or we just don't know yet. But that interim conversation will happen.
We need a caucus, Dale. Is that something you can do?
A caucus of legislators supporting this?
Yeah, of legislators that are interested in high-speed rail that is coming down the valley. Yep.
I will say that they tried to generate more interest this year. I would say, co-chair Gorsuch is a big rail champion. He tried to host Rail Week, where they took up this and I don't know, like 6 or 7 other rail bills and sort of tried to elevate those, I think, over the course of 2 days. And then he ran into some really challenging health issues in the middle of session and had to step away for the majority of session. And so we felt that impact of having a major rail and transportation advocate have to step away. It does impact that committee level, but hopefully they can generate more of that interest, and it was a spark of something to come that they're trying to even build whole weeks out of this type of testimony.
Thank you.
Director Davidson.
Thank you, President. I am disappointed that House Bill 2662, the West Study Task Force, failed. However, I am happy to report that the Mid-Willamette Valley Council of Governments will be convening their own task force on this issue with partnership with, or with support rather, of the city of Wilsonville and Representative Mannix. Obviously, it doesn't come with the $500,000 fiscal or whatever it is. So what we and they will be able to accomplish will be different, but there will be continued movement throughout the interim.
And I forgot to mention that, and thank you for reminding me, Director Davidson. Representative Mannix was a huge supporter of this issue, and his staff and he were big advocates. And the fact that it was bipartisan and bicameral was hugely, that's significant when legislative leadership looks at whether to give a bill the time of day. So that will be significant going forward.
Okay, well, thank you for your presentation and
Yep.
your time. We appreciate it, and thank you for managing our technical difficulties as well.
Well, thank you for allowing us to represent you in the Capitol. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So now we'll move on to agenda item 6, which is public comment. So with that, I'd like to invite Bradley Seaver to provide public comment. Please state your name for the record and then limit your comments to 3 minutes.
There it goes. All right, I'm Bradley Seaver. I'm a fairly new transit operator here at Cherriots, and I just want to say I absolutely love this job so far. There are a few things I wanted to bring to your attention. I've had multiple customers ask me either after 6 p.m. or during the day on Sundays, are the restrooms open? And I honestly, personally think, and I know many other transit operators probably agree with me, the one here and the Kaiser Transit Center and eventually at South Salem Transit Center, I think that lobby and restrooms should be open all hours that we operate. I don't understand. I mean, maybe there's some behind-the-scene reasons as to why they're not. And also, this one might be a little more difficult. I'd love to have maybe at least one customer service rep there, maybe till at least 10 p.m. at night or something, so that people can still ask questions and whatnot. But that's one of the things. And then, let's see. So I realized that in the new UMO app that people are able to pay fares with, Cherriots is advertising on the buses, of their announcements on the papers. They're advertising about the fare stuff, but in the UMO app, you also can track our buses in real time. So I would love to maybe have Cherriots post that on social media and maybe announce that as well. And I also would love to see that real-time information come to Google Maps, the Transit app, and the Cherriots website, and also possibly maybe some like screens in some of our popular shelters that could say real-time information. That would be really neat as well. And then, let's see, I drove the 19 on Juneteenth, and my goodness, I had a packed bus every trip, and I missed 2 or 3 of the departures from downtown. So, and I understand you guys are planning on enhancing service in the future, but we need more service on weekends. Absolutely. Let's see. And then the Pride bus, I absolutely loved it. I hope we do it again in many years to come. I also would love to recommend wrapping buses for a bunch of other things. Black History Month, Rosa Parks, her anniversary, Halloween bus, like a bunch of other, 4th of July, Veterans Day, Memorial Day, all those things. And TriMet, they wrap their buses in-house. Their maintenance department does it. So maybe, I know we could train our maintenance department to wrap our buses instead of paying a third-party company to do it. I don't know how expensive it is or whatnot. And then, let's see, also maybe next year during Pride Month, instead of making it for a win-win situation for everyone, have operators sign their name to volunteer to drive the Pride bus and make it optional. Because I think there was quite a bit of tension between a bunch of operators and stuff. So I think maybe making it optional, it would mean operators who want to drive it get to, and then people who don't want to don't have to. So, yeah, so that is my
Thank
comment.
you. Thank you for all the time and consideration you're putting into the operations. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, so now we'll move on to Tyler McCulley.
Is this close enough? Or closer?
I think if you speak up a little bit, I might be able to catch you.
Okay. Anyway, thank you, Bradley, because that was a concise version of what I've been wanting to say. Anyway, I'm Tyler McCulley. I'm been around for a while, and I wanted to, first off, I'm glad there's a huge gap, but Mr. Bus Mayor Davidson, I would just like to, congratulate you. I remember when you were elected, and your speech gave me a great summary of what's happened since I've been in attendance, and I really appreciated your personal testimony and a view of how that your personal life since you've been a board member has shaped your agenda and your idea of what you wanted to do. I really, really, really appreciated that. I had much more to say, but I will save it for another day when I can maybe get Bradley to help me concise things down. Thank you, guys. Oh, and also thank you, past, present, future, of any help you guys have had in keeping me safe on the road, sidewalk, etc. I'm very appreciative of the fact that all the buses have lots of cameras, and how that coordinates with liability, even if it doesn't directly involve you.
Thank you. Okay. I don't think we have any other public comment online. Okay, so we've got one public commenter online. And Maya Vang?
Yes. Hi. My name is Mai. I am the.
No, go ahead.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I am the new transportation chair for the Northeast Salem Community Association. And we just recently had our monthly board meeting, and a few questions kind of popped up that I wanted to relay to Cherriots to consider and maybe follow up with an answer relatively soon. But so one of the questions we had was regarding the return of a bus route to D Street. I was informed that years ago there was a route on D Street, but it was stopped, and so we were just wondering whether that route could come back with the new development on D Street and Park. And then, so that was the first question. And then the second question that we had was, is Cherriots going to continue to offer free bus rides in the summer? And if that program is still ongoing, or whether it's stopped. And we just kind of wanted to have more information about that, because there's a lot of I think there's a lot of need in our neighborhood that I think continuing that program would help. So those were just the two questions that we had, and we wanted to present to the Chariot board and have it for consideration.
Thank you very much. Thanks for coming and giving us some public testimony, and we'll definitely see if we can get back to you with some answers to those questions. Okay, so I don't see anyone else in the public for public comment, and no one else is online, so we're going to go ahead and move on to our agenda item 7, our consent calendar. Does any director wish to pull an agenda item? Okay. All right. Is there a motion to approve the consent calendar?
I move to approve the consent calendar.
Second.
All right, motion and a second. Is there any discussion on the matter? Okay, so all those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing no opposition, motion passes unanimously. All right, and now we'll move on to action items. All right, so the first action item is to accept the preliminary financial year 2023, fiscal year 2023 financial report. General Manager Pollock, please.
Yes, I'll ask our Chief Financial Officer, Denise LaRue, to please come forward and present the report.
Good evening, President Hinojos Presi and members of the board. Tonight, I am presenting the FY23 estimated financial report. In the general fund revenues and resources, all items are at 90% or above, with property taxes, Oregon State in lieu funds, and interest on investments all being over 100% of the budget. We have talked about the anomaly with the interest on investments in the previous quarters, but that is definitely the biggest variance, but it's a positive one, so that's always good. For the general fund requirements and expenses, all divisions are at or below the annual budget as required by Oregon budget law. These numbers are after applying the budget amendment that was approved at the June board meeting. We still have a few more expenses that will fall into there, but we will still be far below the budget, the requirements for the Oregon budget law. For the Transportation Programs Fund resources and revenues, in total, we are currently at 58% of the budget currently. As the year-end calculations and drawdowns are completed through our year-end process, these numbers will change a bit, but stay within the same range. For the Transportation Programs Fund requirements and expenses, they are all below budget. The current average is 62%. And again, as the revenues shift, the expenses will shift in the same proportion as those drawdowns are prepared. For the Capital Projects Fund resources and revenues, at the time of this estimation, we were at 23% of budget. Again, these will adjust with the year-end movement. But as you remember, in FY23, we had some very significant supply chain issues, and so those items have all been carried over to the FY24 adopted budget. For the Capital Projects Fund requirements and expenses, again, these are still coming in for the fiscal year. I think we have 3 or 4 more capital invoices that will be in the next couple of days. But at the time of this estimate, we were at 27% of the annual budget. For the Finance Division, the majority of expenses have come in for the MARTI project, or the Management and Resource Tracking Instrument, with just a very small amount carried over for FY24. In the Technology and Program Management Division, some of the projects are well underway, but didn't have a lot of expense in FY23, and those include some of our very large favorite projects right now of South Salem Transit Center and the Transit Signal Priority. The capital projects in operations are also under budget, but that's mainly due to the delay experienced with the battery electric buses and all of the supply chain issues there. May I answer any questions?
Do we have any questions? No. All right. Well, seeing none, thank you very much. And thank you for your continued work in our accounting.
Thank you.
All right. So is there a motion to accept the preliminary fiscal year 2023 financial report?
Yes.
All right.
I move that the board accept the fiscal year 2023 preliminary year-end financial report as presented.
Seconded.
All right, motion and a second. Is there any discussion on the matter? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing no opposition, motion passes unanimously. And we'll move on to agenda item 10, informational reports. We have one informational report this evening. General Manager Pollock.
Yes, I'll ask Service Planning Manager Chris French to please come forward and present the report.
Good evening, President Hinojos Presi and members of the board. I'm here this evening to provide the service briefing for the September service change. It's a fairly minor change, but there are things that are happening. At the Kaiser Transit Center for the preparation for the battery electric buses, we are rearranging where buses park in order to charge the buses, the electric buses. So that's a change at the Transit Center. We've also, in preparation for charging the buses, the Route 11, we've modified the schedule. We have moved recovery time from the south end to the north end in order to allow more time during the recovery time for them to be on the chargers to allow the buses to charge. For the Route 19, we've made some service changes. When the traffic signal was installed at Kaiser Transit Center, we had added an additional bus during the 2 to 6 p.m. To maintain on-time performance because we had to go all the way through. Prior, we had to go all the way through Kaiser Station, which took 4 to 5 minutes, which made the buses run late in the 2 to 6 p.m. period of time. Now that we have the signal, we were able to look at the schedule and adjust and remove that additional bus, saving some revenue hours on the Route 19. For the Route 21, we used, for the Sundays, weekend service, we kind of used the middle of the road, what we call time bands, which are the amount of time that the bus has to travel inbound and outbound between time points. With the service being out on the street for some time, we were able to look at that and modify some of this schedule to, we didn't remove or add anything from the overall time, but we adjusted the time points so buses weren't having to hold up on the outbound and then be late coming in on the inbound, or some minor tweaks like that. For holiday service for the local system, Labor Day and Veterans Day will operate at Sunday level service, and Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's will not have service. For the regional system, we've been on a long-term detour in the Monmouth area. So on Monmouth Avenue around Western Oregon University, there has been an ongoing project. The steam system that heats and heats the university has been leaking, and they've been digging holes, and there's all kinds of, there were plans to start at the end of the school year this year to start digging up Monmouth Avenue and putting a tunnel underground to put that system in, and that's been pushed out or changed the direction. So the road is going to be open. It's been open and closed, but it's supposed to be open for at least a year, so we decided to move back onto Monmouth Avenue for that service for the 40X and 45. For the 40X, 45, and 50 in Dallas, the stop at Jefferson and Oak is being moved. The city of Dallas reached out to us, and they had received comment from the surrounding property owners of the stop that is at Jefferson and Oak, asking for the stop to be moved. And we said, sure, if you would like to go and reach out to the community and find out if there's consensus that where you're asking us to move it, because we have moved this stop from almost, we've flip-flopped it based on public feedback. We moved it to where it is because people wanted it moved from the location almost that we're moving it back to. The Dallas city staff went out, talked with people. The city of Dallas and the community members decided that they would like it moved to this new location, so they did the footwork, and so we're more than willing to work with them. So we've agreed that we've gone through the process, and we are moving that stop. It's a block. It's literally a block to the south from where it is now. But that is happening. Cherriots Regional Service does not operate on holidays, and Lyft service will operate the same hours as the fixed route system throughout the service. And with that, that completes my report, and I would be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
All right. Do we have any questions? Director Davidson?
Thank you, Manager French. for the report. So I was very excited at the possibility of Route 22 launching in September, and so I'd love to hear when that might launch and what the holdup is.
Yes, we were hopeful to be able to launch the Route 22, which is the the service that runs between South Commercial and South Lancaster along Kubler Boulevard. We are currently waiting for vehicles to launch that service. They were not going to be available for the September launch of service, so we have pushed that to our goal is January. That will be determined. We have the schedule as we look to each service change, and we have cutoff dates where we have to know that we'll have them so that we can make all of the plans and put all of the schedules and all of the materials. So our goal is for January of 24 to launch the Route 22.
Thank you. I'd also love to hear what moving a stop looks like. Is it just sticking a stick in concrete a block south? Like what does that entail? What are the costs? So when City of Dallas approached you, like are they covering costs? Are our costs? Are they de minimis? Like what does that look like?
The City of Dallas, for this, it varies. For this particular one, there is cost because they have to remove striping for parking and reinstall it, but the City of Dallas has agreed to pay for those costs. For the actual stop at that location, we just have a sign and pole, so we will have our staff go out, take it out, and move it. So it's it's fairly standard for us to do those types of reinstalling stops when they get pulled out or those types of things. But the cost of marking it, no parking, striping it, removing the striping for parking is they are handling that.
Is that, so this is a somewhat unique circumstance where the city was the one that wanted to do it. In circumstances where our service changes and we need to move a stop to accommodate the service change, are those costs typically incurred by us, or is it the city because it's the city's right of way?
They're incurred by us. They would be incurred by us with us changing route. Although there are the times when we're working with new developments,
sure.
Where the developer is developing the stop, we would still be responsible for supplying a shelter or the transit amenities that go along with it. But changes in service or changes in stops are costs that we would incur.
Okay. And then my final question is, City of Salem recently announced that they will be launching commercial air service out of their airport. And I'm wondering obviously we're looking at September service changes. Are we locked into that? Are there opportunities for minor fixes, for example, flexing the 6 on times, those infrequent times when airplanes are landing or taking off at Salem Airport to be able to pull into the airport, which is a request that I know the city has made.
So I've heard that them talk about it, but we haven't had formal conversations, or at least the planning department hasn't.
Sure.
There are infrastructure needs, just like the infrastructure needs that they need in order to service passengers coming in and out. Mm-hmm. In order for us to pull into that facility, it's not like we can just pull in there and there would be improvements that would need to be made in order for us to get in and out of that. With the weight of the buses and going on some of the tight turns, it depends on how the roadways were built, but they're probably not built for large transit buses. So that's something that will need to be worked out, and modifying to go in and out. It's probably something that we could accomplish.
I guess I'm using this as an example to better understand the parameters of what we can and can't do in terms of, I'll call nimbleness. So, we have these 3 times a year service changes, but do we have, Hoopla, for example, that's creating the deviation in our service routes. That's what, I guess that's just Help me understand when we can do deviations, I guess.
So that's a detour. So
Detour,
we
sorry,
do
thank you.
detours regularly for construction projects, events that are happening. I'm not going to say that it's 100% possible that we could create a route deviation for specific times of the day. It's possible, but it's not something that I would say absolutely there's no way we could do it, but it would take some looking at the schedule, depending on when the planes are coming in. If it's going to create an issue where the Route 6 is already under stress and is late, and then we're adding a deviation, you want to make sure that the deviation is not inconveniencing a large number of people on the bus for one or two. The travel time. Thinking about the travel time for a vehicle, if you have 6 people on the bus and they aren't going to the airport, and so that's the 4 minutes is times 6 to pick up one person so you want to make sure that it's working, but it's something that could happen. But we would want to evaluate it for when they're coming in and making sure that it doesn't inconvenience or doesn't break the system.
Yeah. Thank you for articulating those challenges and concerns there. I'll just state that I'm very interested in seeing the increased transit connections we can make. I'm thinking principally, Amtrak having more frequent service running to the train station and then a connection to the airport. So with that, that's all I have. Thank you, President.
Thank you. Director Holstrom?
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for your presentation. So the changes to Route 11, my understanding, or is there a pulse presently at Kaiser Transit Center, and will that be maintained?
Yes, we shifted recovery time, so we're not shifting the time that the bus departs. We're shifting when it arrives there, so it has more time to be on the charger. So it will still connect with the buses there. It is a pulse, but it's not 100%. Not every bus pulses at the same time. The 19 is pulsed out of downtown, so it does not pulse with all of the buses directly. They connect, but they're not pulsed all leaving at the same time from the Kaiser Transit Center because of where they're pulsed out of. The 19 is pulsed out of downtown, where there's a lot more buses, and the connections are, I wouldn't say more important, but there's more activity at the downtown transit center.
Absolutely. So the 11 strikes me, it doesn't go downtown. It connects with a lot of other bus routes, all the other radial bus routes going on the east side. And I imagine there's a relatively large number of transfers between the 11 and those other lines compared to, say, some other transit routes. And right now, I don't think there's any attempt really to make time transfers or anything like that along Lancaster, is there? And does this change affect any of that?
So it's 15-minute service. So
right.
So with 15-minute service, you would in transit think it would be the average wait time is 7.5 minutes.
Sure.
So. And a lot of the routes are frequent, that are the 5, the 2, they're all 15-minute service. So you have the wait time. We don't focus on the transfer times. In the evening, we do look at those, but this isn't really affecting those times. It's more in the middle of the day where we're shifting some of the times to some extent. So. With it be yes and no. We do look at it, but it's not the prime because they're frequent routes. We don't spend a lot of time trying to match all of them up. They both pulse out of 2 different areas, like the 19 pulsing out of downtown. All of the routes that are crossing Lancaster all pulse out of downtown. So trying to make it connect on Lancaster most likely would break the connection with all of the routes meeting downtown. So. As we grow and expand out and with the South Salem Transit Center, those are things that we're going to have to think about and try to, as we grow, it's going to be more complicated.
Thank you.
Director Carney.
Thank you, President Host Pressy. I just wanted to thank Director Davidson for his comments on the airport, and it's sort of bringing to mind for me the presentation. I think it was a work session, and now they're kind of getting mixed up in my head because of our recent transition. But our work session conversation with Kiki Doman about partnerships and how we can potentially sort of embed those partnerships within employers and others to encourage transit use. And I'm looking at the Route 6 right now on my phone, and that is, I mean, that's not a great route, right? When you go out and you do a loop and you come back and you're doing it once an hour, that's not ideal. We would like to see more frequent service on that. And it would be, I think, like a vision that I would like to keep in mind, both for Amtrak and for the airport, is how can we become visible? How can we become present? How can we be the best option? How can we be the thing that makes the most sense when you arrive there, so that, you know, figuring out another solution doesn't enter your mind because you already know what the solution is. And I appreciate the vision that Director Davidson kind of brings to it. And just when I look at the way I want to see Salem succeed, that's part of it. We're a big piece of it. So I just wanted to call that out. Thank you.
Thank you.
So Director Carney, to speak to some of that, in a work session recently, you as a group went through the process of looking at South Salem Transit Center and how routes, or some of the routing and thoughts. There was some proposed looks at different styles of routes, and as a planning team, kind of the base layer that we kind of put out with a couple different scenarios had some direct connections into the airport from downtown, as well as from the South Salem Transit Center, kind of tying in some different ways. So it is something, even though it's the comments about the Route 6, I think that we are thinking more long-term and bigger picture about how we accomplish serving areas like Amtrak and the airport, and how we become part of that conversation to help encourage people to use transit and give other options besides just a car to get to those locations.
Yeah, I appreciate you bringing that to my attention, Manager. Right. I in no way want to undersell the amazing work that our planning group does. It's a comment for you, but it's also a comment to our many listeners.
All right. Director Duncan. Or we might have lost Director Duncan.
Can you guys hear me?
Okay, now we can hear you.
Awesome. I don't want to pile on too much here but I have to speak up whenever the 6 comes up because it's my main line. And I'm really excited to see this. I want to keep this in mind because when we were talking about the airport, one of the biggest values to Salem was that it'll tie into the tourism and those small local businesses that we have here that make us amazing and unique. And so I'm just really looking forward to being able to see that partnership. We've got those 3 small local breweries that come up that are like right over by the 6. And the 6th, and as we're able to change the routes, I would love to be able to see people be able to like take the bus from the airport, go stop off at a local business before they like hit up their hotel. There's they've redone the one kind of prominent hotel we had in South Salem that was looking sad for a while. It's really starting to look nice now, and so I really think that we should also remember like the spirit of what the airport was for. Which was really to tie people into those local businesses and get those dollars out to those small businesses in Salem. So just excited to see where we're going to go with it. Couldn't help but put in my 2 cents because I'm excited, and that's everything. So thanks.
Okay. All right. I don't think we see any other questions. Thank you so much for your presentation.
Before I leave, I was just going to throw out that I just got the youth ridership for the end of the year, and so I thought I would share June ridership compared to last year was up 99%, so we almost doubled June's ridership, and for the year, ridership was up 73% for youth. So just wanted to throw that out there before I left.
And add that on to our outgoing president's successes. All right, thank you so much. I'll pass it over for the general manager's report.
Thank you. So I do have a few items to report, but first I'm going to turn it over to our Chief Communications Officer for a couple updates. And one of them, we think we have the slides to go with you. So let's give that a try first.
Okay, well, Kira's doing that. So during the pandemic, it occurred to me at one point that this was not going to be over in a couple of weeks, and I had to think of some ideas for my team and what they could be doing from their remote offices. One of these is this activity book that I've placed at each of your stations. It was compiled and designed by Tricia McCain, who is our communications and marketing specialist. I thought it could be one more activity that parents could do in their homes with their children, but at the same time educate our future transit users. We posted it to our website, and through social media and our website, we let people know, hey, come download this. It did get quite a bit of traffic. And then Victor Valley Transit reached out to me during the pandemic and said, can we steal the idea? And of course, that's how we are in transit. Of course you can. But this gentleman came up with his own cast of characters. He didn't use our characters, but he did use our materials. We now use the printed version at our outreach events. And that's all I'm going to say about that. The Gilbert House Museum. Earlier this year, Director Holmstrom observed that our transit exhibit at the Children's Museum was getting a little tired, was the polite way he put it. I think it looked exhausted. The Salem Station exhibit has been in place since the fall of 2017. The general manager and I agreed that this was an ideal assignment for our transportation options program because of the initiatives for outreach and education. Kiki Doman, Transportation Operations Coordinator, along with marketing coordinators, Jonah Hansen and Brian Hagedorn, who was here earlier this evening taking photographs, provided the exhibit with a much-needed facelift. Much of the renovation involved the installation of components from a retired Gillig bus direct from the Cherriots fleet. Many thanks to maintenance manager Greg Thompson and his team. The new additions include a dashboard and driver controls, actually from one of our buses, an acceleration pedal, a steering wheel, a fare box empty, a header card and lighting trim, a stop cord, a reupholstered driver's seat, and then a 55-inch monitor with looped footage that Brian Hagedorn took on several locals' routes from the operator's perspective. So it's very interactive. It looks very contemporary, and the reports we're getting from Gilbert House is that the children are truly enjoying it. And we can send you this PowerPoint if you'd like to have the pictures. But thank you, Director Holmstrom. It was a really fun project for the team to work on, and it gave them a break from some of the other things that they do. Thank you, General Manager.
Great, thank you for that. Yeah, so it looks pretty neat. So I encourage all, bring your children to the exhibit. Okay, up next is, so we all know we're in the soft launch of UMO, and it's going well. So far, we've had over 7,800 taps or scans during the demonstration period, which is about just over 300 taps a day. We are going full bore on August 1st, and beginning next week, we'll have special information tables set up in customer service to help people buy the card, understand the app, and help with the transition as we go forward. Earlier today, Seth Hamlin, the project manager, was interviewed by the Salem Reporter, and sometime over the next couple of days, we'll see an article on the electronic fare program implementation. As well, so I'm taking some of this off your notes that you've received from communications on information to be aware of for this month. You heard earlier about the construction at Kaiser Transit Center getting started. Well, actually ground breaks on the installation of the induction charging stations on August 14th. So we're working now on notifications and information sharing, especially for the people who use that as a park and ride lot, because there'll be limited parking there during that construction phase. So as Director Davidson said earlier, the buses are here, and now the infrastructure is starting to be put in place. So as soon as all that is up and running, we will be in service. As well, we'll be out in the community this month during August, beginning next week with the Thursday Market in West Salem. We'll be at Fun Fridays and back to the Saturday Market on August 19th. So if your schedule allows, stop by the booth and see what's happening with Cherriots. And the last thing I will mention is Kaiser Fest is coming up shortly. We are a sponsor once again, and there will be a sponsors luncheon on August 10th, and we'll reach out to see if any board members are able to attend on our behalf. And we'll also be in the parade. We'll have a bus in the parade, which is Saturday, August 12th at 10:30 a.m. And that concludes my report.
Wonderful, thank you. So now we'll move on to our Board of Directors reports. I'm going to start with Director Carney online.
Thank you, President Inhofe Pressy. Wow, this has been a day for me. I am up in Portland, and I am as an employee of the Department of Land Conservation and Development. I travel with the Land Conservation and Development Commission when they travel. And this morning, we all gathered at 7:30 to go on a bus tour led by the Fair Housing Council of Oregon. And the focus of the bus tour, it was within the geographic bounds of the Portland metro area, and really Portland proper, I think, was really focused on, racist planning practices, discriminatory housing scenarios in specific, and displacement. I bawled like a gallon. The whole day has just been extremely emotional. But I bring it up, number one, because I think it would really have a big impact for the city of Salem, both in terms of recognizing past harm, and in terms of helping us move forward with policies that seek to address past harm, to have something similar. But also because transportation investments and transportation infrastructure have played such a big role in, eminent domain, like just raising neighborhoods, displacing communities, stripping communities of connection and investment. It is a must see. If you ever have the opportunity, and I hope that in some way we can be part of or inspire something similar for the city of Salem, because it really helped me. I lived in Portland for 6 years before I moved to Salem, and it really made me appreciate the city, the physical city, in a very different way, and see things in a different way. And so that was more than 12 hours ago. So here we go. Sorry for the rambling after a long day. So let's see, this month, and I wanted to call out for folks that next week, I think it's Tuesday, August 1st, is National Night Out. I know my neighborhood association in Grant is having a gathering. It is at the street mural that is on Summer Street, and I'm gonna bring everybody over there. Highland is also doing something. in their neighborhood, and July is Disability Pride Month. So I'm going to flag those for folks. And then this month, we had both let me see if I can pull it out of the acronym here. I'm just going to call it the Safety Committee. It's a long acronym with a lot of letters, but the Safety Committee for the SCATS group met on the 13th, and we didn't have, it wasn't a well-attended meeting in terms of who was like formally designated to participate, but Councilor Stapleton was there. And so as such, we couldn't, the COG staff were not feeling comfortable that we could make decisions about things moving forward because of the relatively low attendance. But we did discuss the vision and goals for the Safety Committee, and the City of Salem is 100% on board with Vision Zero. And the other option is vision less than we have now. Those are basically the two options that COG staff, or DKS, who is the consultant, laid out. It's like Vision Zero or significant reduction. Without input from you all, I am tempted to land very firmly in a Vision Zero side of things, but I think it does merit a discussion. We also looked at our emphasis areas in the metropolitan planning area, and a really interesting map of our top crash locations and corridors. And we talked about how we could use these areas to create like a suite of solution scenarios that could apply broadly across many different spaces within our heavily crashed in city. So that was really interesting, and I love that work. And then the Salem-Keizer Area Transportation Study Policy Committee met earlier this week on the 25th, which I can't believe that was just earlier this week. I like to keep checking the calendar. And a few things we did not discuss, and this was kind of interesting because there were requests of the committee chair and COG staff, like to maybe add this to the agenda, the addition of Almsville to the policy committee and what that might entail in terms of a restructuring of the governance of that committee. But that was not agenda despite requests and multiple requests. But we did discuss a revision to the federal aid urban boundary, which is a different animal. I won't say entirely, but it has to do with which roads in our urbanized areas, according to the census, are eligible for federal funding for improvements, mostly moving forward. And there was, I don't know, President Hinojosa Pressy was there, like 16 slides on that of different locations. And so we didn't make any decisions. It was the beginning of the discussion, but I think that bears some close review and possibly discussions with the City of Salem and others to better understand what it would mean to include or exclude different parts of those areas, because there are reasons for both. And then we also, and this is like, color me disappointed, we canceled the Mill Street Rail Crossing Improvement Project. And this is federal fiscal year 2021 to 2026. So that's the tip that it fell in. Because rail is now requiring annual maintenance fees of $20,000 to $25,000 a year for these rail crossings. And I just wonder aloud here and now why rail can't be a more productive partner. But I do recall Councillor Stapleton mentioning that Mayor Hoy, when he visited our federal delegation in Washington, that was his top of mind discussion, is how can we be better partners with rail? How can we make this relationship more successful for the city of Salem? So I'm really grateful for his leadership in that space, because it stinks to have to take a project that was pedestrian and safety improvements off the table because of an annual maintenance fee. And then I want to say thank you to Director Holmstrom for being the inspiration behind the Gilbert House installation. I have visited it many times, though I don't think my children have ever allowed me to drive the bus. But I also want to recognize that, you know, we heard about that from our communications department, but that is a huge cross-agency collaboration between our maintenance and our operators. And, you know, it really displays kind of the investment that we have in our community. And I just, more than Director Holmstrom, I want to say thanks to everyone that was involved. And then on those lines, great to have some public comment this evening. I want to give a shout out to our transit operator for his thoughtful and considerate comments. And I'm sorry that I'm not recalling the name. I have notes from your comments, so I very much appreciate you taking the time. And also thanks to Tyler McCulley. Hi, Tyler. It's been a while, and I'm glad to see you at our meetings again. And then Ian, Vice President Davidson, thank you for your service. The knowledge you have built over the years you have been here and the passion and dedication you bring to the role are just astounding. And it is, it's really set us off in such a positive direction, I think, as a board and in the community, that I am just so grateful for your leadership in this space. It means a lot. And Maria, oh my God, thank you for taking this on. I'm so excited. The passion you bring for community to this seat and this space, and that you just embody in all you do, is astounding and inspiring. And I am excited to see a board with a woman in charge. I'm excited to see somebody who is, representing the voices of traditionally marginalized and underserved communities in this space. And I am just so excited to see what you do and to support you through all of it. So that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Carney. I coached her to say all of that. No, I'm just kidding. And we'll go on to Director Duncan's report.
Thank you so much. I don't know how to follow that, but I'll do my best. I'm excited because we had a lot of public comment tonight, which is absolutely fabulous. That doesn't happen very often, so that was great. And even better that it actually is relevant to my report a little bit, because the DEI committee, we met and specifically talked about the Pride Bus and what we wanted to do with the momentum of this kind of, beginning of a new era, what we can do with this momentum. We heard the critique, and we've also heard the overwhelming amount of support from the community, and we wanted to expand on that. So we just started talks about moving into exactly what's been asked. So we want to expand into including more days, more months. We're going to start it sounds like, or at least we've been talking about starting with the federal holidays. just as a place to kind of go from. We've also talked about doing extended amounts of time, so maybe wrapping the buses for a year or so, and having them, having 2 to 4 we'll see how it goes after we work out the numbers and things, from a lens of education and a lens of history, while we're celebrating all of these different marginalized groups. So I'm so excited about that. And I want to thank everybody who's been on the DEI committee that really had some fantastic collaborative discussion of how we can expand this program and make it more inclusive. So thank you so much. And also for everybody on Chariot staff that, heard us murmuring, like, could we do a Pride bus? And what has the potential to turn into after a couple of years of just, discussion. So very excited about that. And thank you for coming and asking and talking about it. We hear you and we want to make it better. So thank you. We also talked a little bit about barriers to accessibility. We are going to be talking about that in the work session, it sounds like, next month. So that'll be covered, as well as some other pieces. But anyway, overall, just a fantastic kickoff for DEI. So thank you for everybody. I also want to just briefly talk about the MWAC actually meet in the month of July, but we have an group that ODOT has put together, and the steering committee did meet. So basically right now they're just talking to us about needs, what things we would maybe like to see talked about, things that we want from ODOT. And there's really fantastic collaborative discussion. And I got to say, with a room full of people that don't always get on the same page, it was one of the more productive and more agreeable meetings we've been in a while, which was really nice. And it was really lovely. So we really did cover the breadth of the needs, everything from bottlenecks and congestion, all the way to, monetary limitations and our partnership with rail. And I'm really feeling optimistic, especially. I don't like that this is probably the reason for it, but we take what we can get. I think that some of our monetary limitations will push some of these ideas closer into the realm of transit than they normally would, because it is faster and less expensive to, expand bus service than it is to lay new pavement or to move a road. And so that will likely play out in our favor. And I'm really excited because there's been some really good discussion around it. And I think we're going to see some fun, innovative ideas that may not have come about in times where we weren't experiencing shortfalls in the supply chain or in funding. So we will be talking about what we put together already at the next upcoming meeting, which I believe is August 3rd, and we will continue, I believe, through January. This is not set in stone immediately. We have time to talk about it. But yeah, so if there's anything that you guys would like to see, send me a message and I'll make sure it's conveyed. But I've been very lucky to sit on this act. It wasn't immediate that would happen. It's only just so that I was on the steering committee for MWAC, and so I was able to be in the room for this happening. But it's been very exciting. So I'm going to try to keep it short report. And I guess the last piece is I'm also excited for this new era of what leadership will look like with Cherriots. I've enjoyed my time already so much, and I'm excited to see what the future holds. So this is going to be great. Thanks so much. Oh, happy Disability Pride Month. Also, thank you.
Thank you. Director Holmstrom, anything to report?
Yeah, thank you. So again, thank you very much. I had just had a conversation with the general manager a few months ago about, lots of things, but, I had brought up the Gilbert House, and he said, gosh, I think this is a great project that maybe some of our staff can take on. And so really great to see that was, all parts of the agency were able to chip in and, put something together great. I look forward to taking a look myself. I haven't had an opportunity yet. Last time we went there, the kids were just really, I don't think we even went inside because there's a whole new outside area. So we were exploring all that. So, but next time I'll be sure to drag them upstairs and take a look at the bus, and hopefully I'll get to drive. We'll see. So thank you very much for that. That'll be great for the entire community. Don't have much to report. The other night, I kind of unexpectedly had a Friday night to myself, unusually so, no car. So what am I going to do? I'm going to go ride the bus, right? So not on the town. Had the opportunity to, I think, boarded 6 times, I think, used UMO, tried it out, had dinner, went to a local brewery, it was good. I agree with the our earlier testimony. It came into play for me after visiting the brewery that our transit centers are closed, they don't have a bathroom open in the evening. So I know there's going to be staffing and cost implications associated with that, of course, and we'll have to work that through. But hopefully in the future, sometime we can do something where we have transit centers that will be able to be open a longer span of time in the future. So I agree with that. But with the UMO, ran into a couple issues. I talked with the deputy general manager before the meeting a little bit about something I ran into with that, but pretty minor, worked pretty well. At least one of the bus operators had not yet seen anyone use it yet, and was pretty, oh, that's how it works. Okay, that's pretty cool. So had a good time. Appreciate it. I don't think I have anything else to report. Thank you.
Thank you. Director Davidson.
Thanks, President. Host Pressy. The first thing I wanted to address was the activity fund book. I was able to get my hands on an early version of this and pass it along to my now 7-year-old, and she was thrilled by the beta version. The alpha version it's now in full color, and so it will be awesome. My 2 daughters will love this, so thank you to Tricia and everybody else who made that happen. As I mentioned during the legislative report, the Mid-Willamette Valley Council of Governments is standing up or beginning to stand up a task force that will talk about extending regional rail down to Salem. We're very much in the preliminary stages of that, but I think it's worth noting that the Council of Governments Coalition of Mayors, as well as the Legislative Committee of the Council of Governments, are fully backing this initiative. So it's not just, Ian Davidson and 2 other people that are supportive of this. This, as Dale Penn mentioned, has bipartisan in the legislature, bicameral, but there's multiple jurisdictions that are supportive of this initiative. So very exciting to see what that looks like. It will be tricky, it will be challenging, but I think starting and continuing that conversation is an important one to have. One of the issues raised by Director Carney around Vision Zero or Vision Better Than We're Doing, my own 2 cents are that if not Vision Zero, I think it would be an incredibly helpful exercise to articulate how many dead people we're willing to have to meet whatever other goals we have. If it's 7, cool. Let's clearly articulate we're okay with 7 dead people per year. Otherwise, saying we'll do better without articulating an actual number of individuals lost, I think is half-assed, half-hearted, and half-baked. On a happier note, the Gilbert House, it's wonderful. I had my 2 daughters attended. They went to it, experienced it, and they loved it. Also rave reviews. So the interactive, not interactive, but the screen of the video projection was a big hit. In particular, my oldest daughter, she was pretty sure that she saw her school on it, so that was a huge hit. So it must have been the Route 2 right there. So excellent work. Kudos to everyone involved in that project. And then lastly, I was able to do a condensed bus rodeo at the end. So after all of the actual participants had gone through, customer service manager Seth Hamlin was able to take me out on one of the buses, and he walked me through all the different knobs and buttons and things. And I have sat at the Gilbert House's bus thing with the buttons and the knobs. There's a lot more buttons and knobs in the real thing. And there is a lot going on there. Like I had a very healthy respect for our operators beforehand. Experiencing it firsthand was incredibly eye-opening. I was able to do a service stop, which I will note for the record, I was pretty close. Seth Hamlin alleges that I met APTA standards, that I was within 6 inches in my front tire. I think it was probably closer to 8. But pretty good. And I bring that up to say that the other pieces that I participated in were not as good. The diminishing clearance, which General Manager Pollock mentioned, is where you, in theory, are driving 20 miles an hour, and then you have these construction cone barrels that kind of form a flying V, and you need to thread the needle. The largest vehicle I've ever driven was a box van. I've never driven anything with like a trailer or anything like that. I certainly don't have a commercial driver's license. And needless to say, operating a 40-foot vehicle, certainly at speed, I did not have a good sense of space. And I hit all of the cones on the right. I did not even know it until like I think the third cone, when people were like reacting to the fact, including President Hinojosa Pressy. She was a passenger. I'll apologize for the abrupt stop in a moment. So that was eye-opening. I am very, very grateful that there is a robust training process for all of our transit operators. As I said at the top, I had a healthy respect before. I am now in awe of all of that they do. And it's not just operating the vehicle, it's also providing top-level customer service all along the way. Utmost respect. And then the final measure was, for the diminishing clearance, Tom Dietz and Greg Thompson, they actually got out the scorecard and graded me, and I saw that I got a 50. I was like, hey, not bad, right? He said, no, that was the total amount of points that you could lose. So I got 50 lost points, so I think I failed that, though someone was kind enough to put a good job exclamation point at the bottom. It was a small salve to my ego, so I appreciate that. And then the last piece I was able to participate in is the diminishing clearance, which is right after the judgment stop, which is right after the diminishing clearance. And I think you're supposed to stop within 8 inches of it or something. 6. Oh my gosh. I did not do that. I think I got 30. And I also, again, never driven a vehicle that large, have never operated a vehicle with air brakes, and they're touchy. And my 7-year-old flew. She had scrapes. She's fine. It's character building or something. But again, just utmost respect. I was able to chat with a couple operators afterwards, and what they do is really hard. And so, wonderful experience for me. I do want to do the full thing next year. I'm going to try and find some practice time, maybe. I don't know how I'm going to do that, but I want to try the whole thing next year. So with that, that's my report.
Thank you, Director Davidson. I don't have much to report. I think my brain was a little jostled from that abrupt stop. No, I mean, I think you did a pretty good job for someone that has never been behind the wheel of a vehicle that large. Yeah. But yes, it definitely is, I mean, something to behold to get to see that our operators have all that to do while also managing people at the same time. It was absolutely fascinating. Also, those seats are really comfortable and astounding. The kids that visit the Gilbert House Museum, I don't think are going to get to see just like how comfy those seats can be. Well, thank you, everyone. Before we adjourn, does any board member have anything else to share for the good of the order? No? Okay, so I would like to adjourn tonight's meeting in honor of Pam Ramirez, who passed away recently after a long illness. Pam joined Cherriots in July of 2010 as a receptionist and was later promoted to a customer service representative in September of 2012. She worked for Cherriots for a little over 11 years. So we honor Pam tonight. It is 8:02 p.m. and we are adjourned.